Chapter 586. Guo, you and Xiao Yi have been married for more than 3 years, right? One day, when the family was eating, Luo Chuanli asked, now that the factory is on the right track, the surrounding mountains have been contracted by Xiao Yi, and the chicken farm at the back of the mountain has also been opened, shouldn't you consider having a child? The great host had gone into labor. The system rejoiced in other people's misfortune. After experiencing so many worlds, it seemed that there were very few people who went into labor. It also wanted to know how the great host would deal with it this time. Tang Guo glanced at the worried Luo Chuanli, as if she was afraid that Yi Song would run away if she did not give birth to a child. She found it funny. Sorry for the child, even if this body was normal, because of her soul, it was impossible for her to have a child. She did not have much feelings for children. If the original owner had one, she would raise it well, but if she did not, then so be it. Even if she liked all kinds of deep and pure feelings, she was still more fickle than many people. But the people of this era, regardless of gender, should care more about children. She glanced at Yi Song, and Yi Song also stared at his little wife. The two of them looked at each other for a while, and Luo Chuanli realized that she was playing the lute to a cow. She was worried that the couple would not have a child for long, and the man would have a change of heart. She did not expect the two of them to look at each other affectionately in front of her. She worried for nothing. At night, the current factory manager Yi Song brought the hot water to the bedside to soak his little wife's feet. As for Luo Chuanli mentioning having a child during the day, he had completely forgotten when he saw his little wife. His wife was already a child, and he still had to pamper her. If he wanted to have a child, his wife would definitely be tired out. Are Yi? Guo, what's wrong? Tang Guo smiled and asked, do you want a child? Yi Song did not understand the meaning of this sentence, but he still answered according to his own thoughts, actually, having Guo is enough for me. He really thought so in his heart. When he thought that a child would take up Guo's time, and that he would not be the only man in her eyes in the future, he felt very uncomfortable. Is that so? Tang Guo smiled and said, if I don't have a child in this life, will you regret it? She asked seriously. She would not have a child, and if Yi Song liked children, she had no right to deprive him of his right to be a father. She quite liked Yi Song. This man was very pure, and he hit the spot that she liked. She would not give up on such a person unless she had no other choice. However, there were some problems that had to be considered. For example, if the other party insisted on having a biological child, she would not be able to help. She would not stop him, nor would she ask him to give up being a father for her. Since the other party wanted her biological children, she had no choice but to fulfill her wish. If the other party wasn't so stubborn, then they would be safe for the rest of their lives. Guo, is there something wrong with your body? Yi Song's expression changed slightly. The first thing that came to his mind was not whether he had a child, but whether his little wife had some kind of illness. He stood up nervously and held her in his arms. Go to the hospital for a checkup tomorrow. I don't like children. I only want Guo. Yi Song was afraid that his wife would be sad, so he hurriedly said. He was telling the truth. There was no room for another person in his eyes, even if this person might be his child. He couldn't imagine that his little wife, who only had eyes for him, would one day give half of her attention and heart to another person. Chapter 587. Tang Guo burst into laughter. There's nothing wrong with my body. It was absolutely normal to go for a checkup. But we won't have children. She said seriously, Yi, I want to make it clear to you. It's not too late to back out now. Yi Song didn't say anything. He just hugged his soft little wife in his arms and said in her ear, when I came back from work that day, I opened the door and walked into the room. When Guo lifted the blanket and looked at me with her beautiful eyes, my soul was already taken away. At that time, there was only one thought in my mind. I'll hold you in the palm of my hand and dote on you. I, Yi Song, will only dote on Guo in my life. I'll only treat you well. I don't have extra time or extra thoughts to share with others. Actually, I was thinking about what to do if Guo likes children. In the future, I won't be the only one in your eyes. Your heart will also be shared with someone else. Yi Song didn't think about asking Tang Guo why they wouldn't have children in this life. This wasn't important. What was important was that they didn't want a third party to interfere in their love life. When Tang Guo heard these sincere words, the smile on her face didn't disappear. She wrapped her arms around the man's sturdy waist. That's great. Director Song's thinking is very advanced. He's also very good at saying sweet nothings. Then does Guo Guo like to hear it? Yi Song's handsome face became more serious. Guo Guo likes to hear it. I'll tell you every night in the future. I've been busy with the factory for the past 2 years and neglected you. The system laughed. Neglected you? Was it because he couldn't wait to carry his wife on his back and put her in his pocket day and night? He didn't even take his eyes off her. In the village, town, and county, who didn't know where Director Song went? Other than going to the toilet, he had to take his little wife with him. If one said that his little wife was a vase, then it would be a big mistake. Like Director Song, she wasn't easy to fool. Someone wanted to use her as a breakthrough point, but in the end, they went for wool and came home shorn. Anyway, this couple was jackals of the same tribe. It wasn't easy to fool them. Especially the director's wife, who was beautiful. When talking to her, one wouldn't even realize that they were being fooled. In the end, they wouldn't even know that they were being sold. However, her face, which was as beautiful as a flower, was very deceptive. Their eyes were sparkling, and they looked at you with a smile. Even if you knew that it was a trap, you couldn't control yourself and unknowingly fell into the trap. Listen, if Director Song is in the mood to talk about love, I will definitely listen. Then, Tang Guo listened to Director Song's vulgar words of love the whole night. She especially regretted saying those words. I want to change the current situation in the village. The current village chief was Tang Guo's elder brother, Tang Tianyu. On this day, Yi Song and Tang Tianyu had a discussion and decided to start a renovation of the village. It was the hard work of everyone in the village that made it this far. Now that their lives were better, they had to remember the source of their drinking water. If they wanted to be rich, everyone would be rich together. This was the long-term plan. He believed that the capable and talented people in the village did not need to stay in the factory all the time. They could develop their strengths and work in various fields. Now was a good time. As long as he was willing to work hard, he would definitely not lose out. Everyone in the village was called over. When they heard Yi Song say that he wanted to change the current situation in the village, they were all a little dumbfounded. They felt that their village was already very good, and now, everyone was envious of them. Chapter 588. First of all, I want to set up a school in the village. There are more and more people in our village and there are more and more children. We have to go to town to attend school. The roads are slippery in the rain and the journey is long. The children are still young and the adults are worried about letting them go by themselves. Actually, there was another situation. He realized that the people in the village did not pay much attention to education. Many children, especially the girls in the village, were not allowed to go to school. Some of them reluctantly went to the first grade and came back. He felt that if he wanted to change, he had to learn more knowledge and culture. From the beginning, Yi Song's purpose was not just to make money and give his wife a rich life. The reason why he stayed in family Tang village was because he wanted to change this place after he felt a sense of belonging. Change was not only in terms of the economy but also in terms of its origins. These newly grown children were the future hope of family Tang village. Only when they received a good education could they make family Tang village stronger. All the children who are registered in the village and are from the families of Tang Core can receive free education in the village school. He had already reported the matter of the school a long time ago. With his money and the support of Tang Shogwa, the mayor, and the county magistrate, there was no problem at all. Now, the person who wanted family Tang village to do well the most was the county magistrate who had a bright future. As long as Yi Song did something that was beneficial to the village's performance, he would do his best to support him. This young man was like a koi fish to him. He had to take good care of him. Moreover, everything Yi Song did was beneficial to the country and the people. Even if he had some selfish motives, no one would use it against him. If he could make the village's future bright without using any other means, only a fool would not support him. I plan to build a primary school and set up a preschool. All the children in the village who can walk can be placed in the preschool. This way, the adults can rest assured and they can also give their children early education. Tangwa stood at the side and looked at the high-spirited man with a smile. Such an outstanding person was too dazzling. He was really covered with a halo. Wherever he went, he would be able to light up the place. As for the teachers in the school, I have already contacted the educated youths who have returned from our village. Most of them have expressed their willingness to come to our family Tang village to be teachers and settle down. The villagers all rolled their eyes. Only fools would refuse. Everyone wanted to come to family Tang village now. If it was someone else who wanted to set up a school and let all the children in the village go to school, the villagers might not agree. However, this person was Yi Song. Even if he said that the sun was very bright today and it was going to rain, they would think that it was the truth. When he said that the children needed to be educated, the villagers all nodded. The children did need to go to school. In addition to the preschool and primary school, I also plan to open an adult class in the school. There will be regular classes every day. If anyone needs it, they can come and learn. This was also one of Yi Song's goals. Many of the villagers were uncultured, but they were smart. They always felt that something was missing. When using people, it was inevitable that there would be awkward situations. He intended to use this method to solve this problem. However, this required everyone to be willing. His free conditions and opportunities were all for those who were willing to work hard. Tangwa found that when the news was announced, there was a lot of discussion among the villagers. Many of the villagers' eyes were shining, as if they were looking forward to the adult class. Chapter 589. Yi Song's school was very successful. In the past few years, many houses had been gradually built in the village. There were also staff dormitories around the factory. The school could not be built in a short time, so he first set aside a part of the staff dormitories to be used as classrooms. At this time, there were not many people, but it was still enough. Unexpectedly, the adult class was the most popular. Moreover, the most enthusiastic were not the men in the village, but the women in the village. They all flocked to the class. In the end, the teachers of the adult class discussed and arranged the daily curriculum. They posted it outside in advance. If the villagers needed to learn anything, they would come according to the time. Only then did the awkward situation from before be resolved. Not long after, the educated youths who had passed the exam came to family Tang village. They came from all the major cities with bags of various sizes and were travel-worn. What they saw was not the small village in the past. Instead, it was clean and tidy. Every family had built beautiful houses. There were also beautiful small courtyards outside the houses. In the words of the outside world, these independent small courtyards could be considered villas. The roads in the village were also very smooth. When they walked in, they all thought that they had come to the wrong place. This was clearly a paradise. Tang Tianyu personally received them and temporarily arranged for all the teachers to stay in the dormitory. The next day, Yi Song personally went to meet them and signed a contract. According to the years of the contract, Yi Song assigned them houses. Those who were willing to stay in family Tang village, he even gave them houses. The educated youths who came back almost all chose to stay in family Tang village without hesitation. As for the teacher of the preschool, she was also an educated youth college student. She was a gentle female college student who looked very beautiful when she smiled. In addition, 2 life teachers were arranged. They were selected from the women in the village and were specially chosen to treat the naughty children. The school was on the right track just like that. With the development, more and more people came to family Tang village, and the village was gradually expanding. Yi Song was thinking about how to plan the development of family Tang village to benefit the future. At this time, Tangwa gave him a stack of blueprints. "What is this?" Tangwa hugged Yi Song's arm. Yi Song took the opportunity to hold his little wife in his arms while looking at the drawings. When he saw the comprehensive building drawings, he almost couldn't help but stand up directly. This wasn't an architectural drawing of a building. It was clearly a construction drawing of a city. Not only was it a comprehensive drawing, but there was also a distribution map of every detail. Where were the greenery, where were the streets, where were the commercial buildings, where were the residential buildings, where were the shopping malls, and where were the shopping malls? The drawing was quite detailed, and every detail was shocking. Even if such a city was not built, Yi-song could see the prosperity of the future from this blueprint. He's really something. He couldn't help but hug her and kiss her. Guo, you're so outstanding. He flipped through all the blueprints and realized that the family Tang village could be slowly developed according to the blueprints. There would not be any problems. He must have married a treasure to solve all the problems he was currently facing. All this while, he had been thinking about how to develop family Tang village. Didn't he have it now? If he didn't expand, family Tang village could only be family Tang village. Once he expanded, it would be different. After confirming his goal, Yi-song got busy again. Of course, no matter how busy he would not forget to hold his little wife by his side wherever he went. Chapter 590. A few smart people in the village crazily absorbed knowledge from the adult class and gradually became the most useful people under Yi-song. The more they learned, the more they understood, and the more they saw Yi-song's ambition. After being speechless for a while, they just followed Yi-song. The people in family Tang village realized that there were more and more people in their village, and the village was getting bigger and bigger. One day, they realized that there were more buildings in their village than in the town. It was equivalent to half the number of buildings in the county. But no one said anything, not even the county magistrate. Every time he thought of Yi-song and family Tang village, he would sit in his office chair with a smile and think about when he would be promoted. 2 years later, family Tang village was bigger than the town. The county magistrate was also promoted to mayor, and the original deputy county magistrate became the county magistrate. Many people thought that the mayor's relationship with Tang Shogwa had drifted apart. Not long after, they received news that family Tang village had become Tang County. The county magistrate was Tang Shogwa, and the original mayor was Tang Tianyu. Family Tang village now, there was no family Tang village, only Tang County. However, the place where the village was located was still called Tang Village. However, this village did not represent a village. It was just a place name in Tang County. How could a Tang County not have a middle school and high school? In Tanggua's blueprint, there was a plan for a school. When the city was built, the middle school and high school had already been built. Now, they just had to wait for the school to successfully apply. Of course, the speed was very fast. From then on, there were schools from small preschool to Tang County High School. But everyone realized that the development of Tang County was still continuing. Its expansion speed was still not slowing down, and the economy was still steadily rising. And in the original family Tang village, every family had built beautiful villas. The surrounding mountains were all rented by Yi-song. A part of it was used for farming and chicken farms, and a part of it was developed into a paradise. Family Tang village people would go to the back to enjoy life when they were free. At this time, Yi-song had started to slow down. It wasn't that he didn't want it to be fast. It was just that the economic development and the development of Tang County couldn't be too fast. Many things had to be done step by step and steadily. Tanggua now remembers that all the buildings in the entire Tang County were built by her family. She laughs even when she is asleep. Dear host, you two are really ambitious. It's okay. It's just Tang County. Didn't the country build it in the past? It's just one county. The system was a little depressed. That's right, it seemed to be the case. It was just a county, what was there to be excited about? It was really getting worse and worse. The system felt that it still needed to experience a lot more before it could reach the level of its host, who was able to remain calm and collected no matter what happened. It wanted to learn from its host. Now that Yi-song and Tanggua were free, Luo Chunli appeared again. Guogua, you have been married for 6 years. You are already 24 years old. Luo Chunli looked distressed. Your 2 brothers' children are going to kindergarten soon. Daughter, it's time to have a child. Her son-in-law was becoming more and more outstanding, but her daughter was still not giving birth to a child. Her heart was still in turmoil. The system sympathized with Luo Chuanli. It was destined that there would be no results from having a child. Luo Chuanli saw that she couldn't persuade Tang Guo and thought that there was something wrong with her. She insisted on dragging her for a checkup. Naturally, the results were normal. After that, she encouraged Tang Shouguo to drag Yi Song for a checkup. Of course, the results were normal. Mom, see? This is fate. There is nothing wrong with my body. Don't worry about the child. Chapter 591. Sigh. Luo Chuanli was depressed. How could she not be worried? She interacted with those ladies every day and talked about her grandchildren every day. Her son-in-law was too outstanding. Such a legendary figure was always the topic of discussion. As they talked about the fact that they did not have children. Everyone was worried about her. Actually, she was also very worried. At this time, most people thought that after getting married, they had to have children. If they did not have children, it would be a terrible thing. Tang Guo did not intend to correct Luo Chuanli's thinking. It was deeply ingrained in her and was not easy to change. Cooperating with Luo Chuanli for the checkup was also to reassure her, lest she suspected that there was something wrong with her and Yi Song's bodies. Now that she knew that there was nothing wrong with her body and that she did not have children, Luo Chuanli could only blame it on fate. But she thought of those ladies saying that when a man's status was high and he was rich, there would be more women around him. Who knew how many women were eyeing her precious son-in-law? How could she not be worried? She was even worried about Tang Shouguo. Some time ago, she saw a young lady throwing flirtatious glances at Tang Shouguo. Fortunately, Tang Shouguo did not have such thoughts. Otherwise, even if the other party was a county magistrate, she would have broken the other party's legs. Mom, did you hear something? Tang Guo looked at Luo Chuanli's uneasy face and asked, who said something to you? She did not have much contact with those ladies. There was no need to, and it was a waste of time. If she had the time, she would rather go to the back of the mountain with her Yi. Guo, Mom is just worried. Xiao Yi is so outstanding and there are so many people eyeing him outside. If you don't have children, who knows what will happen? The vixens will definitely have thoughts. Tang Guo understood Luo Chuanli's worries, but she was not worried. Yi doesn't dare. Sigh. Her daughter was so confident. But when she saw her daughter's beautiful face, even as a mother, she would be mesmerized after looking at it for a long time. It seemed that those vixens were not as accurate as her precious daughter. Mom, who told you? Luo Chuanli answered truthfully. Many people were saying that when I had a gathering with some people from family Tang village recently, Ding Yuzhen even specially told me about it. Ding Yuzhen. Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. Wasn't she Ding Yuzhen's mother? It was worth mentioning that Chen Fangfang, who was 22 years old this year, was still unmarried. Back then, it was because Xie Shijun was unwilling to give up. Now, it was because family Tang village had become Tang County. Originally, the people in family Tang village were all rich and their status had risen. She was dazzled by the selection and looked down on many outstanding elites. Moreover, the times were more liberal now. It was no longer a big deal for a 22-year-old to not get married. Luo Chuanli's expression turned slightly ugly. Ding Yuzhen also said that if you don't have a child, many people will target Xiao Yi. Speaking up to this point, she spat, that Chen Fangfang, do you remember? When I met her previously, she was especially warm to me. I thought that this little girl was sensible and knew how to respect others. But in the end, she was actually asking about Xiao Yi. Guo, don't you understand what this little vixen is thinking? This was the problem that Luo Chuanli was worried about. She was not afraid of Yi Song's intentions, but she was afraid of the various vixens outside. Even if he did not succeed, he would still get himself into trouble. Chapter 592. Chen Fangfang is asking about Yi. Tang Guo almost spat out. Was there something wrong with this girl's brain? First, she wanted to steal her sister's fiancé, and now she dared to provoke her. Did she think that she was easy to provoke if she did not lose her temper? Isn't that so? Luo Chuanli counted some of the things that she had encountered recently. They were all very strange. All of them were young girls who were indirectly asking about Tang Guo and Yi Song. Anyone could tell what they were trying to do. In most people's eyes, with Yi Song's status, even if Tang Guo was the daughter of the Tang County magistrate, she would still be criticized for not having a child. If Yi Song wanted to change his wife, no one would say anything bad about him. Tang Guo was speechless after hearing this. "Mom, don't worry. As long as they dare to come up, I will leave a very deep impression on them. They will be traumatized when they hear my name in the future." Luo Chuanli was amused. Thinking of the love between her daughter and son-in-law, she was not so worried. But it was the situation outside that made her a little flustered. After Luo Chuanli went back, Tang Guo had not even warmed up her seat when Chen Fangfang came to her door, saying that she wanted to play with her. When Tang Guo saw Chen Fangfang, who was dressed to the nines, she was instantly amused. Good girl, she still dared to come to her door directly. Was she trying to save the country through indirect means? Was she planning to become best friends with her first and then find a chance to make her a cuckold? How naive. Tang Guo stopped smiling. When she heard Chen Fangfang asking about Yi Song, she said, "Why are you asking about this?" "I'm just asking. Sister Village Belle, is brother-in-law coming back today?" Chen Fangfang asked eagerly as she glanced outside. Tang Guo suspected that there was something wrong with her IQ. She had never seen someone who wanted to be a mistress so obviously. The system could not help but hear the words Sister Village Belle. Only Chen Fangfang could say that. "You have something to say to our Yi?" "Yes, I have something to say." Chen Fangfang's face lit up. "I have something to say to brother-in-law alone. Sister Village Belle, you won't be so petty to disagree, right?" "Tang Guo." She smiled. "I am petty. I won't agree." Chen Fangfang was a little. Why was it different from what she imagined? In her opinion, she would not have the nerve to refuse. As long as she met Yi Song alone, she would definitely be able to achieve her goal. All these years, no matter how she looked at it, Yi Song was the most outstanding man in her life. It's a pity that she's already married. However, this isn't important. The two of them have been married for 6 years and still haven't had a child. There must be a problem with Tang Guo. She, Chen Fangfang, was not as pretty as Tang Guo, but she was healthy and could give birth. Yi Song would not reject a woman who could give birth to his child, right? Not. Is. Sister Kun Hua, I just have something very important to tell brother-in-law. Don't be so stingy. Tang Guo raised her eyebrows. Everyone knows that if anyone has something important to say to our Yi, I have the right to know. Just say it. Chen Fangfang's face was a little ugly. This was the truth. She did not understand what Yi Song liked about Tang Guo. He listened to her in everything. It really made people jealous. This Tang Guo was as annoying as her elder sister whom she had not heard from for a few years. She was just going to see him, not eat him. She was so petty. If you don't say it, I have to see you out. Tang Guo was not in the mood to chat with the mistress. Seeing Chen Fangfang's hesitant look, she was impatient. Don't, village, Chen Fangfang. Sister Village Belle. Chapter 593. Chen Fangfang didn't understand why Tang Guo suddenly called her by her full name with a cold expression, but she was a little scared. Tang Guo's lips curled up slightly. I hope you can put away those thoughts in your heart. As for what thoughts, you know. If you really provoke me, you won't be able to survive in Tang County anymore. Chen Fangfang couldn't laugh anymore. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but when she saw Tang Guo's faint smile, cold sweat inexplicably appeared on her back. A chill invaded her heart, making her have the urge to run away immediately. She wasn't afraid of Chen Ying and even dared to fight with Chen Ying. She was really a little scared of this petite and fair village belle in front of her. Sister Village Belle, what are you talking about? I don't have any thoughts. Tang Guo gently raised her eyebrows. It's best if you don't. Chen Fangfang couldn't stay here any longer. She felt that this village belle was not to be trifled with. She was much scarier than her fierce elder sister. Although she didn't know what the consequences would be, she subconsciously felt that it wouldn't be a good outcome. She hurriedly said goodbye to Tang Guo and didn't mention Yi Song. She turned around and left. She looked like she was running away, as if something terrible was chasing after her. After Yi Song came back from the back of the mountain to see the chickens in the chicken farm, he saw that there was still a cup of tea left at home. He asked, "There's a guest at home?" "Chen Fang Fang." Tang Guo leaned on the sofa and looked at the black and white TV. For someone like her who had seen all kinds of flowers, this kind of black and white TV was really not rare. However, in this era, there was no entertainment for the time being. There was only one more sound wherever she put it. What is she doing here? Yi Song walked over and hugged his little wife. His guo guo was always fragrant and soft. He couldn't bear to let go of her when he hugged her. He had just left for a while, but he felt that they had been separated for a long time. He really couldn't bear to leave her for even half a minute. Tang Guo looked up with a smile and said, "She said she's looking for our Yi." Yi Song subconsciously felt that his guo guo's expression was not right. Chen Fang Fang and he were not familiar with each other, and they didn't have any business cooperation. Looking for him was definitely not a good thing. "What do you want from me?" he asked. Tang Guo chuckled. "What else could it be? She's taken a fancy to our Yi." "Nonsense." Yi Song was afraid that his wife would misunderstand, so he quickly pulled her into his arms. "Guo Guo, don't listen to those people's nonsense. You're the only one in my heart. You're the only one in my eyes." "I know." Tang Guo was amused by this man's nervousness. She quickly hugged him to comfort him. "Our Yi is so outstanding that all the women in Tang County are attracted to him." Yi Song was a little troubled. He didn't care what those women thought. He was afraid that those women would have a bad influence on his guo guo. "Our Yi, don't worry. I'll beat up all the people who want you like this." Tang Guo smiled and said, "As long as they dare to come, I'll beat them up. I guarantee that they'll be traumatized for the rest of their lives when they think of me." Yi Song was amused. Guo Guo did not seem to be affected by those people, so he was relieved. "Ah Yi, it's been so many years. Do you plan to go back and take a look?" Tang Guo suddenly remembered that Yi Song had only exchanged letters with his sister all these years. The rest of the family seemed to have disappeared. Chapter 594. Actually, I do plan to go back and take a look. Yi Song was silent for a while and said, "No matter what, I have to go back and see big sister." After she got into university, she chose to go abroad. Now she's back with her boyfriend. She mentioned that she's going to get married soon. The only thing he was hesitant about was that he was afraid that Guo Guo would be bullied. It was not that he could not protect her, but with those people's faces, he was afraid that they would hurt her unintentionally. "Then go back and take a look. I've read the letter. Although big sister did not mention that you have to go back for her wedding, she must be looking forward to seeing her brother witness her wedding." Not long after they got married, Yi Song told Tang Guo about his family's situation. During that turbulent era, Yi Song's father chose to divorce his mother because of some special issues. Not long after, Yi Song's mother died of illness. His father quickly married another woman and used that woman's family background to do well. Now, he did not know. Back then, Yi Song and his sister Song Qing went to the countryside. Yi Song chose to come to the family Tang village, a remote and secluded place. He asked his family to pull some strings so that his sister would not go so far. At that time, the Song family had a total of 4 children. Besides Song Qing and Yi Song, there was also the stepmother's son and daughter. Their family had 2 places to go to the countryside. Logically speaking, one of Song Qing and Yi Song should be able to stay at home. But with their family's complicated situation, only the 2 of them could go to the countryside. From the fact that Yi Song did not choose to go back to Beijing and Song Qing chose to go abroad to study after she got into university, it was clear that the 2 siblings did not have much affection for the Song family. They might have suffered a lot in the past. Then go back and take a look. Didn't you say that you're sending your livestock and planting technicians to Beijing to study? Yi Song thought for a while and said, "Okay. No matter what, it was time to go back and take a look. I want to go back and see Grandpa too." Yi Song's grandfather suffered a lot in that turbulence. Fortunately, He was rehabilitated later. Many years ago, his mother died early. The Song family did not let him and his sister have any contact with his grandfather's family, so they did not have any way to contact him. The university that Song Qing got into was not one in Beijing, but somewhere else. Later, she did not want to go back to the Song family and went abroad. There was no news from his grandfather. Yi Song had been busy all these years and had not thought of this. He felt a little guilty about it. All the more reason to go back. If Grandpa is willing, why don't you bring him to Tang County? Yi Song smiled and pinched his wife's face. He was a little touched. Okay, if he's willing, he can come to our Tang County in the future. Grandpa will definitely like Guoguo very much. When the family Tang people heard that Yi Song was bringing their baby back to Beijing, all of them came back. They stared at Yi Song as if warning him that he was not allowed to let his family bully their baby. Even his little nephew, who was only 5 years old, had a tense expression on his face as he said very seriously, "Young master, you have to protect my little aunt well." "Of course I will protect Guoguo." "Okay, then you can take my little aunt back." The young nephew puffed out his chest and said, "If little aunt comes back and says that she has been wronged, young master, I want to duel with you." The child's joke made everyone present burst into laughter. It also reminded them of Yi Song's character. Based on how he treated Tang Guo, he would not allow anyone to bully her. Chapter 595. Just like that, Yi Song brought his wife and a group of technical staff to the capital in a hurry. Originally, these technical staff were quite interested in the legendary capital of the capital. Tang County was developing so well, but it was just a newly promoted county. A big city like the capital should develop better and be more prosperous. After entering the capital, except for Yi Song and Tang Guo, the rest of the people looked at each other with disappointment in their eyes. The capital was big and there were many people. Everything seemed to be thriving, but for some reason, they thought that Tang County looked much better. Especially the buildings in Tang County. The streets and business plans were all very complete. They looked neat and new. Although it was small, the appearance of the city was indeed much more fashionable than that of Jing City. Whether it was the clothes of the people, the various shops on the street, or the things sold, the capital really couldn't compare to Tang County. Of course, the ancient charm of the capital and the accumulation of history were also incomparable to Tang County. Speaking of which, each had its own advantages. After Yi Song arranged all the technical staff, he took Tang Guo to a small hotel and found a place to send a telegram to Song Qing. The two of them had dinner and waited in the hotel. Not long after, someone knocked on the door and said that someone was looking for them. It should be Big Sister. Yi Song looked at himself in the mirror and felt that there was nothing wrong with him. He opened the door and went down holding Tang Guo's hand. When they walked out of the hotel, they saw a man and a woman. The woman was beautiful and elegant. She was wearing a very fashionable coat in this era, a plain scarf, a wine-red top hat, and black high-heeled leather shoes. The man standing beside her was handsome and elegant. He was wearing glasses. The two of them looked very compatible. "Sister." The moment Yi Song saw Song Qing, he almost called out subconsciously. Tang Guo's hand was held by Yi Song. She could feel the excitement of the man beside her. She also called out and didn't interrupt. "Hey!" The moment Song Qing saw Yi Song, she couldn't hold back her tears. Her eyes were instantly filled with tears. She blinked hard and raised her head, trying to hold back her tears. Unfortunately, the tears didn't seem to listen to her and dripped down. The man beside her quickly took out a tissue and gently wiped her tears. "Shouldn't you be happy to see your brother?" "I'm happy." Song Qing glared at the man who laughed at her. "Aren't you so happy that you're crying?" After saying that, she pushed the man away and hugged Yi Song. Tang Guo tactfully let go of Yi Song's hand to give the two siblings some time to be together. Song Qing still couldn't hold back. She hugged Yi Song and cried for a few minutes. Finally, she realized that there was a very beautiful lady staring at her. She quickly let go of Yi Song and walked to Tang Guo. "You must be Guo. Hello. Guo. Song Qing excitedly held Tang Guo's hand, her eyes red. Thank you for being so good to little Yi and letting little Yi find his home in that unfamiliar place. She put Tang Guo's hand back into Yi Song's hand. She had noticed just now that the relationship between the couple was very good. This is your brother-in-law. His name is Li Fan, a professor at Beijing University. We met abroad. Song Qing introduced them and quickly invited the two of them to get into the car. The car was driven by Li Fan. Chapter 596. Song Qing lived in an independent villa. She was different from Li Fan. She walked the business route, which coincided with Yi Song's. These years, the two siblings often corresponded to each other to discuss the development of domestic and foreign affairs. If Yi Song was dedicated to the development of Tang County, then Song Qing was in real estate. Now, many real estate projects in Beijing had her shadow. These two siblings were no longer the children who lived under someone else's roof that could be bullied by anyone. Song Qing asked Yi Song about his future plans. Yi Song said, "If we stay in Tang County, perhaps it will be Tang City in a few years." This simple sentence exposed Yi Song's ambition and made Song Qing laugh. She looked at Yi Song and Tang Guo ambiguously. "Okay, I just want to see when Tang County will become Tang City." Li Fan was a refined person. In fact, his family background was also extraordinary. In his family, other than him being a professor in Beijing, his father, grandfather, and brothers and sisters all had some achievements in politics. After talking for a long time, Song Qing talked about the Song family. The living room suddenly fell silent. Song Qing sat elegantly on the sofa, as if she was recalling something. "I heard that not long after I went abroad, something happened to that woman's family and implicated him. There was no hope for a promotion. Now, the whole family is squeezed into the courtyard house. If it weren't for the two elders of the Song family who still have some connections, their lives would probably be even worse." When something happened to her grandfather's family, it was the two elders who were the first to clarify everything. They said that her mother died of illness. Wasn't it because she was angry? Firstly, she was angry that the Song family was heartless. Secondly, she was angry that the Song family had already hooked up with that woman's family. She was angry that the two siblings were actually only a few years younger than her and Yi Song. But at that time, there was no other way. "Sister, don't think about that." Yi Song saw that Song Qing's expression was not good and knew that she was thinking of the past. "Is grandfather okay?" "Okay." Song Qing smiled. "After I came back to China, I looked for my grandfather. It was easy to find him. He was rehabilitated many years ago. When he went to the countryside, he met a kind person who helped him survive the ordeal. His body was not affected much. It's just that all these years, he's been talking about you and thinking about the situation here, so he hasn't urged you to come back. Xiao Yi, if the Song family comes looking for you, don't be soft-hearted." Song Qing warned, "If you dare to be soft-hearted, don't blame me for not acknowledging you as my younger brother." "Sister, do I look like a soft-hearted person to you?" There was a faint smile on Yi Song's face, but that smile was a little cold. "I didn't come back here because of them." His smile gradually became gentle, and he held Tang Guo's hand. "It's because of Guo." "All right, stop showing off your affection in front of me," Song Qing said angrily. I know. You're doing this because of your Guo." Regardless of whether it was before she left the country or after she returned to the country, at least half of the letters that Xiao Yi wrote to her were about how he had a pretty and smart little wife. She was so jealous that her teeth still hurt. Song Qing was glad that Xiao Yi had met this girl named Tang Guo. He had met such a good Tang family. "When are we going to see Grandpa?" Yi Song was a little impatient. Before the accident, the two of them basically lived at Grandpa's house. Their grandpa was originally a famous scholar in university. Not only was he good at calligraphy, but he was also good at painting. He had many students all over the world. When the accident happened back then, it was also because of these students. It could be said that the Yuan family was a real scholarly family. If it were not for the accident, the Yuan family would be a well-known family now. Chapter 597. Everything that could be returned to the Yuan family in the past was returned to him after the Yuan family was rehabilitated by the elders. Now, Elder Yuan lived alone in the courtyard house. He did not do anything else. He practiced calligraphy, painted, and took birds for a walk. His life was very enjoyable. It was just that the number of people around him had decreased by a lot. Some people left and never came back. His only daughter died many years ago. His wife also passed away early. His 2 granddaughters and grandson had their own things to do. He contacted his granddaughter a few years ago and knew that his grandson was doing well. Elder Yuan felt better, but he still felt a little regretful that he never had the chance to see his grandson. On this day, Elder Yuan was lying on a bamboo chair, basking in the warm sun and listening to the chirping of birds as he fell asleep. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Song Qing hired someone to take care of Elder Yuan's daily life. When she heard the knock, she quickly went to open the door. Seeing that it was Song Qing and her boyfriend, as well as 2 other young people he did not know, she invited them in. "Who's here?" Elder Yuan was startled awake. He squinted at the door and saw Song Qing walk in first. He immediately perked up and sat up. "Qing Qing and Xiao Li, why are you free today?" "Grandpa." Song Qing walked up to him with a smile. "Look who I've brought." Song Qing moved aside, revealing Yi Song's face. The sudden appearance of a young man stunned Elder Yuan. When he left, Yi Song was only 11 years old. Now, he had changed a lot. Elder Yuan only felt that this young man was somewhat familiar, as if he had seen him before, but he could not remember where. He stared at Yi Song for a long time. Yi Song spoke first. "Grandfather, it's me." Elder Yuan was stunned for a moment, but he quickly reacted. He quickly walked in front of Yi Song and grabbed his hand. "Xiao Yi, you're Xiao Yi." "It's me, grandfather." Yi Song was also very excited. When he saw Elder Yuan in good health, he felt relieved. He did not forget to bring Tang Guo in front of him. "This is Guo Guo, your granddaughter-in-law." Elder Yuan was the happiest today. He was even happier than when he had first heard that he could return to the capital and that someone had come to pick him up. The family was finally reunited and lived in harmony for a few days. Elder Yuan especially liked to talk to Tang Guo. He often asked about the development of Tangguo County and occasionally gave some advice, which benefited Tang Guo a lot. Hearing that Tang Guo wanted to take him to Tang County, Senior Yuan refused. He said with a smile that there was actually some use for him in the capital. Even though he seemed to be relatively free now, he did not intend to give up on certain things, especially when he still had 2 of his most important family members. If he stayed here, he might be able to help in the future. It had to be said that the old man had thought it through thoroughly. Having an elder in Beijing was indeed beneficial to both Song Qing and Yi Song's future. The doyen's network must be quite extensive. If he wanted to get something done, a single word from him would be more useful than running a broken leg. "You guys, just come and visit me when you're free." Yi Song went to the capital to inspect the environment. Although he wanted to stay in Tang County, he could open a branch in the capital. He would not be limited to one place. Now that he had his own sister and grandfather to help him, it was easier than expected. As for Tang Guo, she was dragged by Elder Yuan to his study to look at the treasures he had collected. Every single one of them would be priceless in the future. When he realized that Tang Guo could actually respond to his words, Elder Yuan immediately liked her a little more. In his heart, he thought that his grandson had found a treasure. Chapter 598. When Yi Song opened the branch company, Song Qing and Li Fan's wedding was almost ready. Their current status was not low, and the people who attended their wedding were all influential people in the capital. 3 days before the wedding, Song Qing informed the Song family. As for whether they would come or not, it was none of her business. Tang Guo was in the auditorium. Yi Song held her hand and quietly pointed to a man sitting in a certain position, saying that the man was his father. "He looks much older than he did many years ago." Yi Song smiled. "Just now, he actually didn't recognize me. It seems that this son of mine really isn't ranked in his heart." He reckoned that the Song family didn't even know about his situation in Tang County. They might even have forgotten where he went. Otherwise, with such a big commotion, the two old men of the Song family would have already asked him to return to the capital. Those two old men are also here. Yi Song pointed to the other two old men for Tang Guo. Tang Guo looked at them. The two of them were sitting at the side, listening to the congratulations of the people around them. Their expressions didn't look too good. However, the two of them should be people who loved face and wouldn't cause any trouble at the wedding. Finally, Yi Song pointed to a young man and woman who had just graduated less than 2 years ago for Tang Guo. Both of them worked in a government department. The two of them were dressed more fashionably than the others, and they looked a little proud. After the wedding, the Song family knew that Yi Song had returned. All of their gazes fell on Yi Song. When did Xiao Yi come back? Why didn't you inform the family? Song Shungrong looked at Yi Song with a straight face and frowned. His impatient gaze swept across Yi Song and Tang Guo. You're already married, yet you didn't inform the family. Do you even put me, your father, in your eyes? You're really as arrogant and stubborn as before. All right, let's not talk about the child. It's a good thing that he's back. Ju Yafeng quickly tried to smooth things over. Her gaze swept over Tang Guo. How long have you been married? Yi Song's mouth curved into a mocking smile as he replied, 7 years. The atmosphere was a little stiff for a moment. 7 years was really not short. Ju Yafeng looked at Tang Guo, who was so young and beautiful. She thought that she had just gotten married. Where's the child? Did you bring the child back? The system host felt that something bad was about to happen. Tang Guo smiled. My Yi doesn't care about them. Nothing will happen. System, be good. Yi Song was different from the men of this era. Sure enough, when the Song family heard that they didn't have children, they almost jumped up. They had been married for 7 years, how could they not have children? The Song family immediately looked at Tang Guo suspiciously. From their eyes, Tang Guo could tell that these people were blaming her for not being able to have children. Xiao Yi, it's not that grandma wants to nag at you, but you've been married for so many years. No matter what, you should have a child first. Old Madam Song almost made it clear that this woman who could not bear children could not be kept. She wanted him to get a divorce as soon as possible. Grandma would introduce him to a girl who could bear children. This family had sharp eyes. Although they didn't know how great Yi Song's achievements were, they could tell that he was doing well from the way he was dressed. Moreover, now that the senior statesman had been rehabilitated and he even had a capable sister like Song Qing, Yi Song couldn't be doing too badly. This situation made the two elders of the Song family think. Especially when they heard that the two of them didn't have children. Tang Guo came from a rural background. How could she be worthy of their grandson? Chapter 599. Yi Song's face darkened. The Song family was as disgusting as ever. That's right. Second brother, if there's really something wrong with second sister-in-law's body, we should go to the hospital for a checkup. Song Xian listened for a while and couldn't help but interrupt. See if she can be cured. If not, we should think of other ways. Seeing that the Song family had already convicted Tang Guo, Yi Song really couldn't give them any face. He held his wife's hand tightly as a cold smile appeared on his lips. He glanced at the two elders of the Song family, his father, his stepmother, and his two half-brothers and sister. These people seemed to be concerned about him, but in fact, their eyes were shining with calculation. They probably didn't even notice it. Now that Song Qing had a bright future, they couldn't find a chance to make a move on Song Qing, so they decided to make a move on him. If he didn't make things clear today, the Song family would probably send a few girls who were related to the Song family to him the next day. The system said weakly. It was his host who had to face all this. If it were a woman, she would be very upset. Tang Guo didn't say anything. She believed that Yi Song would handle this matter well. But when she heard Yi Song's next words, she was still surprised. You don't have to worry about that. Yi Song said expressionlessly. Guo and I won't have children in this life. She really can't have children? Old Madam Song's voice was sharp. At first, she didn't think that this was true. She just thought that a girl from the countryside was not worthy of her grandson. Besides, Song Qing was successful now. Because of some things in the past, he didn't have a good relationship with the Song family. Now that Yi Song was back, it was time for the Song family and Song Qing to mend their relationship. As long as they pulled Yi Song to the Song family's side, they wouldn't be afraid that Song Qing wouldn't take care of her only brother. They had also heard about the matter of the doyen being rehabilitated many years ago. Apart from that turbulent era, they really wanted to reconnect with the doyen. The two elders of the Song family were regretting now. If they knew that Elder Yuan would be rehabilitated one day, they wouldn't have been so ruthless. But at that time, everyone was in danger. Who would have thought so much? Yi Song could clearly see the thoughts in the eyes of the two elders of the Song family. His heart turned cold because of this. They only wanted to get benefits from him, his sister, and his grandfather. He was afraid that they had forgotten the ridiculous things they had done in the past, which had angered his mother to death. He still wanted to get benefits from him, and now he wanted to maliciously hurt his wife. He really wanted to ask if the Song family's brains had been hit by a door. Was he so stupid? Guogua is very healthy. We went to the hospital for a checkup before. Yi Song did not want to talk nonsense with them. He wanted to get rid of this family's thoughts as soon as possible and leave with his little wife. I'm the one with the problem. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone present revealed an incredulous expression. It was as if they were asking, "What's the problem?" Tang Guo looked at Yi Song in surprise. Yi Song held her even tighter. He lowered his head and smiled at her. That smile told her that she could leave the Song family's matters to him. Chapter 600. It's impossible for me to have children in this lifetime, Yi Song lied calmly. In the end, I'm the one who implicated Guogua. Now, Guogua doesn't despise me, but you're despising her. I, Yi Song, will say this today. Guogua is my treasure. No one is allowed to maliciously hurt her. Yi Song's expression was particularly cold when he said this. Especially the Song family. I, Yi Song, will never forget what happened back then. At that time, I was still young and couldn't protect the other important woman in my life. But now, I, Yi Song, am not someone you can mess with. Song Shengrong's expression immediately darkened. You're really the same as back then. You're naturally rebellious. Yi Song was so angry that he laughed. Rebellious. Song Shengrong, touch your conscience and tell me whether I was born rebellious or the Song family went too far. If you really want to pursue that matter, I can sue you for bigamy. Yi Song's lips curled into a cold smile. Coincidentally, I met two lawyer friends in Beijing this time. They just returned to China and probably want to do some cases to make a name for themselves. The Song family's expressions changed. If it was in the past, they might not be afraid of Yi Song's threat. But now, the Song family was no longer the Song family of the past. Moreover, there were some rivals of the Zhu family. If they really got something on them, the Song family's glory would really come to an end. I came back this time just to see my sister and witness her finding happiness. Yi Song glanced at the uneasy Song family. I'm not interested in you. I'll be leaving soon and returning to family Tang village. Of course, that was impossible. He had never forgotten his mother's death. Those who owed his mother would pay the price. Useless. Song Shengrong said in a low voice. When the others heard that he wanted to go back to that godforsaken place, they despised him in their hearts. The two elders of the Song family had a regretful look on their faces. Without Yi Song, they wouldn't dare to do anything to Song Qing or Elder Yuan. On the other hand, Zhu Yafeng breathed a sigh of relief. It was not easy for her to instigate the two elders of the Song family to send the siblings away. She did not want Yi Song to come back. Now that Zhu Yafeng heard that Yi Song was infertile and had a problem with his body and wanted to go back to that remote place, she felt a little happy. Back then, she felt inferior because she could not compare to the Yuan family's eldest young lady, who was born into a scholarly family. She had always liked Song Shengrong, but with the eldest young lady of the Yuan family ahead of him, it was impossible for the two elders of the Song family to choose her. Fortunately, Song Shengrong did not really like cultured women. He preferred gentle and considerate women like her. That turmoil was the source of everything. The Yuan family's eldest young lady was so angry that she died of illness. She had also sent her children away. The family that Yuan family had painstakingly built was also accepted by her. This was the proudest thing in Zhu Yafeng's life. She wished that Yi Song, who had been outstanding since he was young, would be mediocre and never be able to compare to her son. Yi Song glanced at Zhu Yafeng and saw through her thoughts. There was a cold smile at the corner of his mouth. Tang Guo had noticed. From the very beginning, she realized that Yi Song's return to Beijing was not a spur of the moment. Especially after he arrived in Beijing, other than being busy with the branch company, he was also busy with other things. Go back and tell Guo. Yi Song saw his wife's confusion. He knew that his wife was very smart, so he whispered in her ear. Such condescending behavior made Song Shungrong so angry that his face turned ashen. Chapter 601. Thinking of Yi Song's threat, Song Shungrong really did not dare to do anything. He was not as high-spirited as he used to be. In the end, Yi Song held Tang Guo's hand and left, completely ignoring the Song family. Second brother has really fallen. Song Rui pulled his collar with a proud smile on his face. Back then, everyone would praise second brother when they saw him. They said that he was a vigorous and hardworking young man. Now, second brother's edges have been smoothed out by fate. Grandpa, Grandma, don't worry about him. Even if second brother returns to Beijing, he has been away for so many years. His vision can't keep up. When the college entrance examination was reinstated, he didn't take it. I think he has already given up. That's right. Since second brother likes to stay in the corner, let him be. Song Xian pursed her lips. It's probably because of his health that second brother doesn't dare to come back. A man who can't have his own offspring is really pitiful. I don't know if it's just that he can't have children. Song Xian's words made the whole family confused. That's right. I think that village girl is quite pretty. She doesn't mind second brother's infertility. Grandpa, Grandma, if you really want him to come back, which daughter in Beijing would be willing to marry second brother? Won't you be holding her back? The two elders of the Song family were persuaded. Yi Song was right. Yi Song obviously did not want to get close to them. He looked at them as if they were his enemies. Song Qing had to at least give them a smile. This bastard grew up outside. It was not suitable for him to return to the Song family. The person they brought back might not be their grandson, but their enemy. Especially when Yi Song mentioned the matter just now, they were really afraid that he would seek revenge on them. The death of the Yuan family's eldest daughter did have something to do with them. The Song family looked at each other and dismissed the idea of contacting Yi Song again. They would just pretend that he was not around in the future. As for Song Qing, they were at least related by blood. They could at least get some benefits. After all, they were Song Qing's grandparents and biological father. Yi Song led Tang Guo back to the villa. His expression was still not very good. Are you still angry? Yi Song reached out and held his little wife in his arms. Ever since his grandfather's accident and his mother's death, he had received the most warmth from the Tang family, especially his little wife. She was really good to him. Those disgusting things actually wanted to hurt him. I've long known their true colors. I'm just feeling indignant for my mother. They've done so many wrong things, but they don't think they're wrong at all. They're still so self-righteous. Now, they even want to scheme against my sister through me. Does Yi have any plans? Yi Song raised his head and looked at his wife's sweet smile. He nodded. Why should they be able to live the rest of their lives without any guilt after angering my mother to death? I want them to suffer. I want them to fade into the crowd. I want them to be able to watch but not eat. They can only be envious. Don't they value the Song family's glory? I want the Song family to fall. Didn't Zhu Yafeng value her son and daughter the most? When they were young, she always compared them to my sister and me. She often insulted us in a roundabout way in front of outsiders. In other words, she did not acknowledge her as her stepmother and was disrespectful to her. In those few years, the children in the same courtyard hid when they saw my sister and me. Later, we found out that it was the adults who taught them that. They were afraid that we would lead them astray. I'll let Ju Yafeng understand what it means to be outstanding. Her son and daughter will only bully her for the rest of her life. Chapter 602. Yi has always been very outstanding. The anger in Yi Song's stomach was all dissipated by this praise. His guogua was so good. Although Song Xian and Song Rui work in the government, their positions are not high and can be replaced at any time. The Song family has 2 courtyards. The 2 old people live in one, and Song Shengrong's family lives in the other one. As for the many courtyards and shops that originally didn't belong to them, they were returned to their original owners because of some things. Because of this, the Ju family didn't get any benefits. Few people who had their properties confiscated by the Ju family don't hate them. In order to find suitable positions for the 2 young ones, the Song family almost emptied their family's assets. Yi Song's words made Tang Guo understand the situation. The Song family could forget about making any achievements in the government. Those who had been harmed by the Ju family back then wouldn't let them rise. Even if they were allowed to rise, there would definitely be traps waiting for them to fall into. Aren't the Song family jealous of my sister now and want to make a fortune? Yi Song's lips curled into a smile. This smile was a little evil, and it really made Tang Guo's eyes flash. She found this man especially charming when he was serious, and a little cute when he played tricks on people. She couldn't help but touch Yi Song's eyes and say, Yi is so cute. Yi Song held his wife's hand and kissed it. This time, my sister brought me to meet many people. I even talked to Grandpa about my ideas. He was very supportive. Yi Song's mother's death was something that the old man couldn't take to heart. If he could avenge his daughter, he had no reason to not agree. The reason why he hadn't done it was because he was waiting for Yi Song. Now that Yi Song didn't care about the Song family's feelings, he wouldn't either. My plan is. Yi Song smiled deeply. Let the Song family be willing to do business. Let them taste some benefits first. When it's about time, let them understand that the business world is still very cruel. I won't do anything. I'll just say hello to those who had been harmed by the Ju family and say that the Song family is going to make a fortune and rise. With the Song family's conduct, they must have gotten some benefits and their tails will be raised very high. As for the 2 little ones, they will definitely not be able to hold back and will definitely be arrogant and look down on everyone. Young people are too arrogant and will easily offend people. The system was as bad as the host. If they hadn't made a fortune, they definitely wouldn't be heartbroken. Once they had made a fortune and gotten used to living a life, they would be beaten back to their original status. It must be a very painful and desperate thing. When they've lost everything, they'll realize that the business world's business, and even the government, they'll only have that courtyard. At that time, it should be time for Song Rui and Song Xian to get married. Song Rui's wife probably won't be willing to share a courtyard with them. With the Song family's personality, they won't take a fancy to ordinary girls. They'll definitely choose a girl with a good family background. For the sake of their only grandson, the Song family will definitely consider whether to sell one and buy a new house for Song Rui. Yi Song's lips curled up. Ju Yafeng is willing to sell, but the 2 old men in the Song family will definitely not agree. Song Shengrong will definitely be in a dilemma on both sides, but in the end, he'll definitely be persuaded by Ju Yafeng. The whole family will probably make a fuss over whether to sell the courtyard or not. Tang Guo was a little stunned. This man's thoughts were really interlinked. He clearly understood the future development of the Song family. Chapter 603. When the house is sold and Song Rui is satisfied, what does Guogua think of Song Xian? Damn it, women have nothing to do with men fighting. Dear host, where did this man come from? For the sake of a house, the family's assets are not evenly distributed. It's time for the siblings to see their true colors. Yi Song hugged his wife and said calmly, actually, I didn't do anything from the beginning. They caused all the consequences themselves. With the Song family's selfishness, this is the only outcome. It might even be worse than I imagined. Guogua, I've schemed so much. You won't think that I'm a bad person and that I'm very scary, right? To be honest, Yi Song was still a little afraid of revealing his inner schemes in front of his wife. He was afraid that it would scare the baby that he had been holding in his hands. Tang Guo laughed as soon as she heard Yi Song's words. Why would she be afraid? She had schemed against more people than Yi Song. Those people had wronged Yi Song and his mother. Shouldn't they have schemed against Yi Song? If he really let the Song family off, she would think that he was a boring person. His biological mother was angered to death. Now that his life was good, he never thought of doing anything. She would think that this person was not very cute. On the contrary, what Yi Song wanted to do was in line with her thoughts. She was also a vengeful person. Those who made mistakes needed to pay the price and be punished. Why would I be afraid of Yi? She wrapped her arms around Yi Song's waist. Yi Song is just feeling injustice for his mother. This is what he should do. He can't let his mother feel so aggrieved after leaving. Yi Song was really touched. He did not mention the other purpose of returning to the capital previously because he had not thought of how to say it. He only dared to say it when he brought her to meet the Song family. Only after seeing how shameless the Song family was would his wife understand how much he hated them. The two of them did not stay in the capital for long. When Yi Song and Tang Guo left, they heard that the Song family was preparing to go into business. Song Rui and Song Xian did not intend to resign at the moment, but they would not hesitate for long. The branch in the capital was handed over to the second brother, Tang Tianhang. Compared to dealing with officials, Tang Tianhang preferred to make money. Not long after Tang Guo and her husband came to Beijing, he brought a large group of people to develop the branch company's business. With Tang Tianhang around, Yi Song did not need to worry. As for the Song family, they didn't need him to do anything. They just needed to wait for the Song family's momentum to rise. In fact, he didn't need to inform those people. Those people probably wouldn't let the Song family have an easy time. At this time, Tang Guo and Yi Song had already returned to Tang County. When she returned to Tang County, she heard a piece of news. Xie Shijun was going to transfer to another profession. He would come back with Chen Ying and their child after a while. Currently, the Xie family was trying their best to help Xie Shijun get a good position. There was no need to think about Tang County. The good positions had already been taken. Everyone wanted to squeeze in. There was no need for Xie Shijun at all. The Xie family went to Lin County, which was the county where the mayor used to be the county head. Wasn't Xie Shijun supposed to be a regiment commander? Why did he change his profession? Tang Guo asked the system curiously. Is there any other reason? I want to know how Chen Ying felt when she came back here. If she hadn't mentioned Chen Ying, she would have almost forgotten about this person. However, Chen Ying had schemed against her, so she couldn't let it go so easily. Chapter 604. The system wanted to say that even if the host didn't need to do anything, when Chen Ying returned to Tang County and saw the changes, Tang County, the person she hated the most was Song Zining. When he found out that Tang County's mayor was Tang Shogua and that the village belle had become the mayor's daughter, he would definitely vomit blood from anger. Also, her dream of becoming a regiment commander's wife was ruined. Xie Shijun must have transferred because he didn't have a chance to be promoted. If there was a chance to be promoted, even a fool wouldn't be willing to transfer. With Xie Shijun's situation, finding a respectable job was definitely not a problem. But Chen Ying wouldn't be satisfied. How could returning to the county be comparable to being a regiment commander's wife? Of course, the scariest thing was still Yi Song. After being reminded by the system, Tang Guo really felt that she didn't need to do anything. When Chen Ying saw Yi Song's achievements and how much Yi Song doted on her, she would be so angry that her liver hurt. I'm a little happy. What made Guo so happy? Yi Song opened the door and saw his little wife sitting on the sofa with a smile on her face. She seemed to be happier than earning money. He walked over and hugged her habitually. This was a habit that he had developed over the years. His Guo was especially sweet when she smiled and warm when he hugged her. If he wasn't afraid of being laughed at by others, he really wanted to hug her wherever he went. When Tang Guo heard Yi Song's thoughts, she couldn't help but mock him. She wasn't a hot water bottle. I'm in a good mood, so I'm especially happy. Yi Song guessed that something must have happened. He was looking at her with a pair of serious eyes. Being stared at by a handsome man, especially when this man had touched her heart, she really couldn't handle it. Okay, let me tell you. Chen Ying and Xie Shijun are coming back. Yi Song was puzzled. Why was Guoguo so happy when the two of them came back? Could it be because of Xie Shijun? Yi Song frowned. Don't guess blindly. It's not because of Xie Shijun. It's because of Chen Ying. Tang Guo smiled. If you want to know why, you will understand when she comes back. Yi Song still felt that things were not so simple. He didn't forget that when he was still an educated youth working in the village to earn work points, Chen Ying was attentive to him. He kept this matter in his heart. If Chen Ying dared to bully Guoguo, he would punish Xie Shijun. Anyway, that Xie Shijun had secretly looked at his Guoguo before. He didn't know what that gaze meant, but it made him feel uncomfortable. Xie Shijun is going to be transferred back. Yeah. Yi Song paused and asked again, where is it? It shouldn't be our Tang County, right? With the Xie family's ability, Tang County is not theirs yet. Yi Song heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he heard Tang Guo say, it's in Lin County. It was a little close. Yi Song thought to himself. Since they were so close to each other, he would often see Xie Shijun looking at his wife in his arms when he went to Lin County in the future. Regardless of whether Xie Shijun had any thoughts about it or not, Yi Song felt that Xie Shijun should not be too close to his Guoguo. Since we're from the same hometown, I'll talk to him. Xie Shijun is a good soldier. I saw him last time. He should be a serious person. Isn't it too hard for him to work in the county? Tang Guo, up to you. Tang Guo didn't refuse. Of course, she had her own little plans. If Chen Ying knew that her husband's work was done with Yi Song's help, she wondered if she would feel like she had been fed a mouthful of shit. Yi Song saw that Tang Guo didn't care and slowly heaved a sigh of relief. He knew it. How could Guoguo care about other men? Could it be that he wasn't handsome enough and didn't pamper her enough? Absolutely impossible. He wanted to dig his heart out and feed it to her. Chapter 605. Why is there an additional Tang County? Chen Ying held the two children's hands and stood beside Xie Shijun. She looked at the city in front of her and had a strange feeling in her heart. She remembered that when she left, this was a barren place where weeds did not grow. How did it become a city in front of her? After she married Xie Shijun, she made up her mind to stop asking about family Tang Village and the Chen family. She did not know how much family Tang Village had changed in the past few years. The Xie family did communicate with them through letters. Most of the letters were from Xie Shijun's mother, Shu Qiulan. The content of each letter was similar. She only mentioned that family Tang Village had changed a lot. At that time, she would only send a telegram if there was an emergency. As for Xie Shijun's two younger siblings, they were not close to Chen Ying and did not interact much. Chen Ying looked at the bustling city in front of her. It was obviously different from her previous life. She had a bad feeling. In fact, what made her feel even worse was that Xie Shijun did not have the chance to be promoted to regiment commander. She could not be the regiment commander's wife anymore. Because of Xie Shijun's career change, the relationship between the two was a little strained. They quarreled a lot because of this. In the end, Chen Ying asked other people and finally confirmed that it was difficult for Xie Shijun to be promoted. Only then did she reluctantly come back with Xie Shijun. Later, she heard from Xie Shijun that his hometown was developing well. He might have a chance to go back. Moreover, with his qualifications, his position would definitely not be low when he comes back. Chen Ying could only give up. Putting everything else aside, Xie Shijun treated her well. At least, he was much better than Yi Song in her previous life. Moreover, they had a pair of children. There was no point in continuing to quarrel. Shijun's family, you haven't been back for a long time. You have been away from family Tang Village for too long. Of course, you don't know how much has changed here. Shu Qiulan held her grandchildren's hands and smiled. She was obviously very satisfied with her current lifestyle. Chen Ying saw that Shu Qiulan was wearing a fashionable coat, a gold ring on her finger, a gold necklace on her neck, and gold earrings on her ears. The series of gold jewelry almost made her dizzy. The Xie family is rich. What made Chen Ying unable to accept was that Xu Qiulan, despite her age, still had powder on her face and eyebrows drawn. Wait, this mother-in-law of hers seemed to be wearing a jade bracelet. The Xie family is really rich. This time, Chen Ying was certain. Originally, she had looked down on the rustic Xu Qiulan in her heart, but now she had a smile on her face. No matter what, she had to come back to live now. For the sake of her future, she couldn't offend her mother-in-law. Mom, what happened here after Shijun and I left? Chen Ying pursed her lips. She felt more and more uneasy. When she returned to the Xie family, she looked at the standalone bungalow. It was as luxurious as many expensive villas in her previous life. Not only that, but along the way, compared to the Xie family, there were many villas around. She really didn't know what to say. In her previous life, there was no such thing. Chapter 606. Do you still remember Song Jiqing? Xu Qiulan did not talk about the changes in family Tang village. Instead, she talked about Yi Song. At the mention of Yi Song, Chen Ying's face darkened. In her previous life, this man was her nightmare. I remember that Song Jiqing from the village married the beauty of Tang village. What happened? Did they fall out? Chen Ying subconsciously thought that with Yi Song's stubborn temper, sooner or later, he would fall out with family Tang village. This time, she was not the one who was bullied. She felt like she was watching a show, so she asked curiously. Xu Qiulan quickly shook her head. What do you mean by falling out? They are fine. They have been married for so many years, and I have never seen them fall out. Whether it is Song Jiqing or the beauty of Tang village, they are both very nice people. Even though one of them had become a big boss and the other was the daughter of a county magistrate, when they saw the villagers, they were not arrogant. Instead, they were very easy to talk to. The villagers could be where they were today because of these two people. They could not thank them enough. How could they hope that they would not be good? The better family Tang village was, the better Yi Song was. This was what they hoped for. They understood that if family Tang village and Yi Song were good, everyone in Tang County would benefit. Xu Qiulan was not stupid. She knew who to follow. However, she did not know that her daughter-in-law, Chen Ying, was very prejudiced against Yi Song. Chen Ying was a little surprised that Yi Song did not fall out with Tang Guo. Could it be that it was really because Tang Guo was prettier than her? She curled her lips. What was the use of being prettier? No matter what, she did not think that Yi Song could be compared to Xie Shijun in family Tang village. When Xie Shijun became an official, Yi Song would still be inferior to them. So what if the family Tang village became rich? In this era, being an official was still more important. Then what happened? Chen Ying asked again. This time, Xu Qiulan didn't keep them in suspense. She told them everything about the development of Tang village over the years and how it eventually developed into Tang County. She told them everything clearly. When Chen Ying heard that Yi Song would lead the entire village to become rich, his bad premonition came true. When she heard that the entire Tang County was built by Yi Song and that the urban planning of Tang County was done by Tang Guo, she just wanted to stand up and shout that it was impossible. How is that possible? How is that possible? She knew Yi Song very well. He was not capable and had no background. In her previous life, he had spent his entire life with her. The money he earned was only enough to not starve to death. How could such a useless man without any ability be the one who built Tang County single-handedly? As for Tang Guo, she wasn't sure. After all, she had married Xie Shijun in her previous life and had become the envied Mrs. Regiment Commander. She was the little princess of the Tang family. She might really know something, and she could not deny it. Yi Song is different. Although they didn't have any actual sex in their previous lives, they had lived under the same roof all their lives. How could she not be clear about each other's capabilities? Creating a Tang County impossible. Even if Yi Song was reborn like her, it was impossible for him to have such great ability. She sat on the sofa with a pale face and recalled her previous life. That man who faced the yellow soil and back to the sky all his life was silent and never gave her a good look. Even when he died, he was very straightforward. In the last moments of his life, he was really unwilling to say a word to her. After she planned to marry him, she thought about it carefully and realized that they had never had the chance to communicate in their entire lives. "Ingzi, what's wrong?" Xie Shijun noticed that Chen Ying did not look well and asked with concern, "Are you feeling unwell because you were in a hurry?" Chapter 607. Chen Ying was in a daze when Xie Shijun sent her back to her room with a pale face. Xu Qiulan was still a little worried and told her to rest well. She turned around to buy some chicken and prepared to stew some delicious food for her daughter-in-law. No matter what, Chen Ying accompanied Xie Shijun in the army and even gave birth to a son and a daughter for the Xie family. She should be treated well. Now that the family's situation was better, she couldn't wrong her daughter-in-law. Chen Ying didn't know any of this. Her mind was filled with disbelief. Impossible. How could Yi Song have achieved what he had today? A useless man had become the creator of the entire Tang County and was worshipped by everyone in the family Tang village. When Xu Qiulan talked about Yi Song just now, she was full of pride. And Xie Shijun's words, "I met her once before. At that time, I knew that Song Jiqing wasn't a simple person." What made Chen Ying the most upset was that Xie Shijun admitted that Yi Song was outstanding. His tone even showed that he wasn't as good as Yi Song, and she could vaguely see admiration in his eyes. This made her very upset. She had schemed and taken the risk to scheme for Yi Song to marry Tang Guo. Didn't she just want to get rid of him and find a man who was 1,000 times better than Yi Song? When he was with her, he was a dull, stubborn, and useless man. Why did that man become so outstanding after she was no longer involved with him? He was beyond her reach. "Shijun, I'll make some soup for Ingzi. Previously, Chairman Song asked me about your transfer. He said that when you come back, you can go and find him. He has some connections in the city. You can't enter Tang County, but I think the city is still good. It's better than the neighboring county." Xu Qiulan came out of the kitchen. "Bring some things and go and take a look. The village has changed so much, but Chairman Song still remembers you. We can't be too rude. No matter what, we should go and thank him." Xie Shijun nodded. He understood the relationship between people very well. The reason why he couldn't be promoted was that he didn't have a chance to make contributions. Secondly, he didn't have a strong relationship, so he couldn't be promoted. Xu Qiulan had already prepared the gifts. Xie Shijun took them and went to look for Yi Song. When Xie Shijun arrived, Tang Guo and Yi Song were both at home. The couple was playing with the cat in the yard sweetly. When Xie Shijun was invited in, he saw such a warm scene. A beautiful woman was sitting on a chair, hugging an equally beautiful kitten. A man was squatting beside her, giving him the feeling that this man was like a big cat, competing with the kitten for favor. Xie Shijun couldn't help but laugh at this thought. "We have guests." Tang Guo pushed Yi Song. Yi Song was already an adult, yet he was jealous of a cat. No one else would do that. Yi Song quickly stood up, and the warm scene just now disappeared in an instant. When Xie Shijun carefully sized up the two of them, he was a little surprised. They were indeed a match made in heaven. When he left back then, the two of them were still young. Now, it seemed that their appearances had not changed much. The only thing that had changed was the environment, their clothes, and Yi Song's aura. As for Tang Guo, he had been married for a long time. He had long forgotten about the illusion he had at that time. Moreover, the couple was the benefactor of the entire Tang family. As a qualified soldier, he couldn't let his thoughts run wild. Chapter 608. Yi, you guys go ahead. Of course, Tang Guo knew why Xie Shijun was here. Speaking of which, this person was quite unlucky to be targeted by Chen Ying. If Chen Ying really liked him and wanted to live a good life with him, then it would be fine. However, Chen Ying was not someone who knew how to be content. Yi Song nodded. Although he would bring his little wife with him when he was discussing contracts with other people, he did not want to hide it from them. However, in front of Xie Shijun, he felt that he should try his best not to let the other party see his treasures. That feeling from back then still made him unhappy. Otherwise, he would not have thought of ways to get Xie Shijun further away. Great host, don't you feel that there is something wrong with your husband? He doesn't seem to want Xie Shijun to see you. I know. I'm just pretending that I don't know anything and let him do whatever he wants. Alright, speaking of which, this world should be relatively safe. There were not so many troublesome things. Could it be that this was an unfinished world? There were many worlds that he had transmigrated to. However, there were only a few that were pitted in the first 2 chapters. Yes, this caused Great Host's mood to be very peaceful. She would not think of ways to scheme against her enemy all day long. She wanted her enemy to receive the greatest punishment. Then, Great Host was very happy. His energy increased rapidly. It was the kind that could not be stopped. Great Host, the heavenly spring has become much brighter. Tang Guo was interested. Really? Yes, and I feel that the heavenly spring has a very strong power. However, I can't seem to touch it. In the beginning, the heavenly spring was almost dark. Since Great Host let herself go, the heavenly spring has become brighter and brighter. The power inside has also become stronger. He said this because he had a vague guess. Could it be that when Great Host transmigrated to these worlds, she actually had to do certain things according to her wishes? Only then could she end this long journey one day. Tang Guo also thought of this point. Then I can't let myself suffer in the future. Hearing this, the system's heart trembled. It felt that this sentence signified that those who bullied Great Host in the future would be very unlucky. Oh right, Great Host, I leveled up again. What's more this time? The system was a little depressed. There were not many abilities. There was an additional email function in the interface. I don't know what it is for. I don't know other systems, so I don't know what this function is for. Did you receive any letters? No. Tang Guo gave up on the idea. It was indeed useless. No wonder the system was depressed. The next time I meet another system, I won't be in a hurry to eat it. I have a bold idea. Tang Guo was a little speechless. This system seemed to be becoming more and more humane, but she was very cooperative. What do you think? Let the other party send me an email first. I want to see if the email can be used. I will eat the other party after I try it. To be honest, Tang Guo did not expect the system to have such a big idea. It was really a big idea. For some reason, she felt that this system of hers was a little evil. She wondered who it had learned this from. Xie Shijun and Yi Song talked for about an hour. When Xie Shijun came out, Tang Guo could clearly feel that this person was working hard and was willing to give his all to strive for success. She blinked and glanced at Yi Song, who had followed them out. She did not know what kind of chicken soup her Yi had fed Xie Shijun for him to be so hot-blooded. Chapter 609. With Yi Song's help, Xie Shijun's job in the city was basically settled. With Yi Song's current status, it was easy for him to do this. After Xie Shijun met Yi Song, he really admired this young man who was a few years younger than him from the bottom of his heart. In less than 10 years, he had changed his hometown and the fate of the people in Tang County. He had made Tang County one of the leading cities in the country. He was not a fool. From the current development of Tang County, Yi Song would definitely not stop there. The family Tang village in the past was now Tang County. In the future, it might become Tang City. One day, it might even become a municipality. As a member of his hometown, of course, he wanted to see such a prosperous development. Initially, he thought that after leaving the army, there would be no place for him to show his ambition. However, after talking to Yi Song, he realized that no matter where he was, he could shine. It was a pity that he could not stay in Tang County. It was the same if he could go to the city. He could also contribute to the development of Tang County. Xie Shijun went back excitedly and told Shu Qiulan the good news. Shu Qiulan was overjoyed. Her son had found a good job after transferring to the army. This time, it was really settled. From Shu Qiulan's point of view, with Yi Song's help, it would definitely not be bad. Moreover, he could go directly to the city. It was really a blessing from 8 lifetimes. She was very grateful to Yi Song. Ingzi hasn't woken up yet? Xie Shijun remembered Chen Ying's pale face. She was in a hurry just now. She hasn't been out for a long time. She might not be used to it. Isn't that so? She follows you everywhere. Shijun, you have to treat her well, Shu Cholan said. Xie Shijun nodded. He hesitated for a moment. In the end, he did not ask about some of his doubts. When it came to Chen Ying, he always felt that this woman's eyes did not have any feelings for him. Thinking back to that time, their marriage was promised by their parents. There was indeed no free love between them. Their child was already so big. It was useless to be calculative about this. As long as Chen Ying lived with him well, he would not let this woman suffer. However, he was still very envious. Previously, when he went to Yi Song's house and saw the two of them being intimate, that was the kind of married life he imagined. Speaking of which, Mr. Tang Guo and Chairman Song are both good people, Shu Cholan said with some regret. But they have been married for so many years, and they don't plan to have children. A few years ago, many people wanted to marry Chairman Song. They don't have children? No, I heard that you don't want it. Xie Shijun was a little surprised. Who could think so clearly these days? Shu Cholan found it a little funny. Now, the entire Tang County is paying attention to them. There are even some girls who think they're pretty good looking and think they can get to the top. At this point, Shu Cholan spat on the ground. Who do you think they are? Do you think that Chairman Song and his wife don't like them? I think they just want to live a romantic life together. Hearing Shu Cholan's words, Xie Shijun was amused. His grandmother's way of thinking was indeed different from others. Mom, you don't think it's bad for them not to have children? Xie Shijun had been outside for many years. He had also heard of some couples who did not want children. They said that they only wanted to have sex and enjoy it for the rest of their lives. That's their way of thinking. How can outsiders like us care? Shu Cholan found it funny. Shijun, don't butt in on this kind of thing. That's between Chairman Song and his wife. I'm warning you not to offend them. Even if everyone in Tang County is divorced, they won't break up. I know, Mom. Do you think I'm that kind of person? Chairman Song helped me. I'm not the kind of person who returns kindness with ingratitude. I'll remember this in my heart. Chapter 610. At night, Chen Ying woke up and heard that Xie Shijun's work had been settled. He was going to the city. This person made Chen Ying feel a little better. At least, the man she had her eyes on was not a simple man who could work in the city on his own. In the afternoon, she had a dream. She dreamed of her previous life. It was a nightmare. Now, she did not want to hear Yi Song's name at all. If she really had to stay in Tang County, it would be worse than killing her. Shijun, when are we going to the city? Chen Ying could not wait to leave immediately. She pursed her lips and looked at Xie Shijun with anticipation. Xie Shijun looked at her strangely. Why don't you go back to your house and take a look first? He knew about the incident back then. It was funny to talk about it. He didn't have a good impression of the other members of the Chen family, but since he was back, he had to go and see them. It's been so many years. Then let's go tomorrow. Chen Ying also knew that her relationship with the Chen family was unbreakable. If she did not go and see them, she did not know what the people around her would say. We will go to your house tomorrow. The day after tomorrow, we will invite Chairman Song over for dinner. Chen Ying was a little confused. She just nodded. Okay. She did not ask why. In her opinion, it was most likely because of Yi Song's current status. It was not a big deal to treat him to a meal. But when she thought about facing Yi Song, she felt very uncomfortable. Tang Guo heard that Chen Ying brought Xie Shijun back to the Chen family. Thinking about the current situation of the Chen family, she laughed in her heart. Chen Ying would probably vent her anger on this trip. But it was none of her business. She just needed to play with the cat and the man every day. Yi Song's cat man Yi Song. Just as Tang Guo expected, Chen Ying did not receive a good attitude when she returned to the Chen family. Although the entire family Tang village had become rich, the Chen family still did not believe in Yi Song. This caused them to be a little late. They were still not as developed as the rest of the villagers. Moreover, the Chen family had a characteristic. They were crafty and did not have any ability. They wanted to take the biggest share. They were also the kind of people who did not like to learn and improve. Yi Song could not help these people who did not want to improve themselves. He would definitely not put them in an important position and let them fend for themselves. But no matter what, he was still better than Chen Ying, who had been with the army for many years. Xie Shijun's salary as a soldier was not enough for the Chen family. Moreover, she left with Xie Shijun without a care in the world. She even became enemies with Chen Fangfang. The entire Chen family was not very satisfied with Chen Ying. In the face of the Chen family's mockery, Chen Ying couldn't stand it any longer. In the end, Chen Fangfang suggested that they go shopping, and she actually agreed. In the end, he fell right into Chen Fangfang's trap. Chen Fangfang still remembered clearly what had happened back then. Because of Xie Shijun, she had lost all her face. Looking at Chen Ying today, she thought of a good idea. Then, Chen Ying felt Chen Fangfang's malice. Chen Fangfang bought clothes and jewelry one by one in front of her without any hesitation. Chen Ying was furious. "Big sister, you probably don't care about the things in this small place, right? You've seen the world with brother-in-law." Seeing Chen Ying's sullen face, Chen Fangfang was very happy. "Big sister, if you don't mind, I'll buy 2 pieces for you." Chen Ying pulled a long face. "No need. I've seen many of these things. I don't care." In fact, the things that Chen Fangfang bought were all very expensive. The style was also not seen anywhere else. Chapter 611. Chen Ying was angered by Chen Fangfang. Later, no matter where she went, people would talk about Yi Song. When they talked about Yi Song, they would talk about Tang Guo. She suddenly realized that Yi Song was not only different from her previous life, but he also doted on Tang Guo. Hearing the words of those people, Chen Ying was mad with jealousy. She and this man had tortured each other and wasted their lives. He was not a considerate person. Why did he treat Tang Guo so well? Yi Song had once said that he enjoyed his wife who doted on him and enjoyed their love life, so they didn't want their relationship to be interrupted by a third party. This third party wasn't just someone else, but also the children they might have. So, Yi Song doted on his wife to the extent that he did not want children. He was even jealous of children. Chen Ying was upset. Very upset. Why did this happen? How could this man do that? On the 3rd day, Xie Shijun invited Yi Song to dinner. Xie Shijun chose a good restaurant. It was not cheap in Tang County. But both Xie Shijun and Xu Qiulan felt that it was right. Only Chen Ying and Xie Shijun complained, "Shijun, there is no need to go to such an expensive place." Although Xie Shijun received a sum of money after he came back, it was not a small amount. He left it with her to manage. But after she came back to Tang County and found out about the standard of living in Tang County, Chen Ying felt upset. Xie Shijun's settlement allowance was something that no one in Tang County would be interested in. Even if she had made some money over the years, it could not be compared to the people in Tang County. "This is what I should do." Xie Shijun was a little unhappy. "I can't treat Chairman Song to a meal in a shabby place. This place is just right." Chen Ying was a little angry, especially when she found out that Xie Shijun was full of admiration for Yi Song. She really wanted to use a wooden club to wake this man up. This was what it meant to boost someone's prestige. How could she not see that Xie Shijun only cared about money in the past? Xie Shijun could feel that Chen Ying was angry with him. Yesterday, he had talked to Chen Ying about how amazing Yi Song was. However, Chen Ying was very perfunctory. Not only that, he even said some words that belittled Yi Song, which made him very uncomfortable. Perhaps he could tell that Chen Ying didn't want to talk about Yi Song, so he didn't say much. He also forgot to tell Chen Ying that he invited Yi Song to dinner to thank him for helping him with his job. When Tang Guo and Yi Song arrived at the restaurant, Xie Shijun was already waiting for them at the door. When he saw them, he warmly invited them to a private room. Chen Ying stood at the side, her face a little stiff, but it was obvious that she was trying her best to maintain a smile. However, Tang Guo knew that she couldn't maintain it for long. She nodded at the two of them. She held Yi Song's arm while Yi Song held her waist. They looked like a couple. Just like the rumors said, they must have a very good relationship. Everyone in the restaurant knew Yi Song and Tang Guo. After all, they were already regulars here. Whenever someone invited Yi Song to a meal, they would add that they wanted to invite Chairman Song and Mrs. Song to a meal. Knowing how much Yi Song doted on his wife, no one dared to look down on Tang Guo. Moreover, Tang Guo had another identity. She was the daughter of a county magistrate. When Yi Song announced that the planning of the entire Tang County was done by Tang Guo, no one dared to look down on Tang Guo anymore. Chapter 6:12. She was not a real village girl. She was someone who had contributed to Tang County. Yi Song held Tang Guo in his arms as they walked in. Everyone who saw them would smile kindly and ask, "Did Chairman Song bring Mrs. Song for dinner too?" Chen Ying looked at the admiring gazes of those people and felt very uncomfortable. What made her even more uncomfortable was that Xie Shijun did not consider her at all when he was greeting Yi Song. He did not come over to hold her hand and even let her walk in by herself. They did not look like a married couple at all. Xie Shijun was even more depressed. He did not know what was wrong with Chen Ying today. She did not look good and did not know how to greet the guests. When he had guests in the past, Chen Ying did not seem to be like this. She was especially enthusiastic. When he was in the army, his comrades all envied him for having a sensible and virtuous wife. Ever since they returned to Tang County, Chen Ying felt a little strange. Perhaps she had not gotten used to it. Xie Shijun found an excuse for Chen Ying. After all, she was the woman who had been with him for many years. He could not deny her completely just because of a small mistake. Chen Ying was a little absent-minded when they were eating. Especially when Yi Song picked up food for Tang Guo and peeled prawns for her. His caring attitude was simply piercing her eyes. In her previous life, she did not see eye to eye with Yi Song. She never knew that Yi Song had such a caring side to him. Especially after so many years, Yi Song was almost 30 years old. Time did not leave any traces on his face. On the contrary, he only became more mature and handsome. He exuded an intoxicating aura. Was this the same Yi Song who had not accomplished anything at the age of 30? The same Yi Song who had never said a word to her? He plowed the fields in the morning, went home for dinner at sunset, and went to sleep after closing the door. It was different. It was different from her previous life. When this man smiled, especially when he only smiled at Tang Guo, it was really touching and infectious. Those beautiful eyes were filled with love and affection for Tang Guo. She had never known this side of Yi Song. It was as if she did not know the person she knew in her previous life at all. Chen Ying felt that it was too suffocating to sit there. She was almost out of breath. "Ah Yi, don't worry about me. You eat too." Tang Guo picked up a piece of prawn meat and put it into Yi Song's mouth. Of course, Yi Song would not refuse his wife's kindness. He opened his mouth and ate the prawn meat with Tang Guo's chopsticks. "Guo Guo, eat too." Xie Shijun was speechless. "The relationship between the two of you is really good." Xie Shijun couldn't help but praise. He admired Yi Song more and more. Although he had achieved what he had today, he had never changed the way he treated his wife. This kind of man was the most admirable. In the outside world, he had seen many men who had a little bit of success but had a change of heart and abandoned their wives. As a soldier, one of his beliefs was to be faithful to his lover. He had to be as loyal as he was in the beginning. In fact, he had been trying his best to treat Chen Ying better, but Chen Ying seemed to have lost some of her love for him. In the end, he could only be loyal to her. At the very least, he would not betray Chen Ying. If Chen Ying didn't change and wasn't willing to let him get closer, no matter what he did, it would be useless. Especially after he planned to change his career, Chen Ying's passion for him dissipated a lot. Although he was unwilling to admit it, he had to admit that Chen Ying might be more utilitarian towards him. Chapter 6:13. Hearing Xie Shijun's words, Yi Song only looked at Tang Guo, his wife. Tang Guo gave him a very sweet smile. It was so sweet that it almost touched his heart. If Xie Shijun and Chen Ying were not here, he really wanted to hug her and kiss her eyes. This pair of eyes that could speak and brought endless warmth to him. Xie Shijun coughed softly. He was really envious of him. He had a wife, but there was no love. When he was not a soldier, he was also a young artistic youth. He also envied the love that was written in books. He imagined that his future wife would be a girl who smiled very sweetly. A girl who would only smile at him. He would spoil her and make everyone envy her. But the reality was that he had a virtuous and capable wife, but he had never experienced the addictive love story that was written in books. However, he was a person who was content. His wife was virtuous and capable. He could only treat her as well as possible. It might be regretful that there was no love, but he could have something better than love. He might not fall in love with Chen Ying again, but he would work hard for this family and give her a warm home. He would always treat her well. They would slowly grow old together and become family. His eyes were filled with warmth as he looked at Chen Ying beside him. However, Chen Ying didn't realize that this seemingly rough man actually had a meticulous heart. He had been trying his best to make their lives better. She also ignored everything that she already had. A man who wanted to treat her well wholeheartedly and was willing to fight for her. Even if there was no love between them, he was willing to accompany her and bear the responsibility of a man. She only saw that the man who had hated both of them in her previous life had actually achieved so much in this life and was still so considerate to a woman for 10 years. She was not willing to accept reality. She was even more upset about the ending of her previous life. She hated Yi Song and Tang Guo even more. Why could Tang Guo make Yi Song treat her like that? This time, I really have to thank Chairman Song. Xie Shijun remembered the purpose of inviting Yi Song this time and had to say some words of gratitude. Chen Ying was awakened by Xie Shijun's words. She was a little confused. Thank Yi Song? What did Xie Shijun want from Yi Song? She tugged at Xie Shijun and asked softly, "What do you need his help with?" These words could be said to be very disrespectful. Xie Shijun was a little unhappy in his heart. However, when he remembered that Chen Ying had said it softly and Yi Song probably didn't hear it, he heaved a sigh of relief. It's about going to work in the city. I told you before that you didn't want to talk about it. Today, I invited Chairman Song to dinner to thank him. If it wasn't for his help, I would have to go to Lin County. How could the county be better than the city? Unless it was Tang County. Xie Shijun was really grateful. If Yi Song helped him this time, he might be able to benefit from it for many years, unless he was no longer in the city. For Yi Song's sake, they wouldn't make things difficult for him. It could be said that he owed Yi Song a huge favor. If not for the fact that they were from the same village, Yi Song would not have helped him. Therefore, Chen Ying's attitude made him feel extremely uncomfortable. He thought to himself that after he returned, he must have a good talk with Yingzi so as to not offend her benefactor. When Chen Ying heard that Xie Shijun was going to work in the city because of Yi Song's help, she didn't take the initiative to go to the city because she thought that Xie Shijun's capabilities were appreciated by the people in the city. Chen Ying's mind was blown. Chapter 614. What did you say? Chen Ying couldn't hold back and screamed. Her voice was so loud that it could be heard from outside the room. It was easy for Tang Guo to eavesdrop on their conversation. Yi Song's ears were also very sharp. He could hear what they were whispering. The 2 times he had met Xie Shijun had been very tactful and did not pay too much attention to his guoguo. He was not the kind of person who was particularly stingy. He also admired people like Xie Shijun who were straightforward and loyal. So, he was more sincere when he helped him. As for Chen Ying, this woman was very strange. He remembered that this woman had stuffed eggs into his mouth several times. It was clearly written that she had taken a fancy to him, so he couldn't wait to avoid her. After a few months, he didn't know why this woman didn't get close to him anymore. She even looked at him with disgust. It was as if she was avoiding him like a snake or a scorpion. It made him think that he had done something wrong to her. Later, he accidentally fell into the river and was saved by his guoguo. The whole village saw them hugging each other with wet clothes and got married in a daze. After that, He realized that he had found a treasure and didn't pay attention to Chen Ying's strange behavior. When Chen Ying heard that Xie Shijun's job was arranged by him, she didn't seem to believe it. The hatred in her eyes made him feel strange. Yingzi. Xie Shijun's voice was a little heavier. What are you talking about? Chen Ying reacted and lowered her head in panic. She couldn't let anyone know about her rebirth. Also, she deliberately tampered with Yi Song's path and saw him fall into the river with her own eyes. She also deliberately led Tang Guo here. Once this matter was known, she didn't know what the people in Tang County would think of her. I'm just very surprised. Chen Ying broke her teeth and swallowed all the bitterness in her heart. She was very sullen. I didn't expect that it was Chairman Song who helped Shijun. Thank you very much. However, she didn't look surprised or grateful. She was clearly shocked and at a loss. She didn't want to believe it at all. Yi Song didn't care. Tang Guo also didn't care when she knew the truth. But Xie Shijun still felt uncomfortable. Chen Ying's behavior today could be said to have embarrassed him. He didn't know if Chairman Song would take it to heart. Chen Ying looked like she wanted to eat him up. It was as if she was looking at her enemy. No one would feel comfortable. We came back in a hurry. Yingzi might not be used to it. Please don't mind her. Xie Shijun was a little worried and apologetic. In fact, he really admired Yi Song and did not want their relationship to be strained because of Chen Ying. Yi Song shook his head. I won't. Xie Shijun heaved a sigh of relief. He decided that the next time he met Yi Song, he would not bring Chen Ying along. Moreover, it was time for him to ask his grandmother about the rumors that had appeared in the village. She was at home, so she should know better. Tang Guo and Yi Song were the only ones who enjoyed the meal. She thought that this man was very capable. She didn't expect him to work in the city with Yi Song's help. She was really disappointed. It was better for anyone to help her than Yi Song. I'll go back first. Chen Ying didn't wait for Xie Shijun to speak. She turned and left. Xie Shijun was a little angry with her cold attitude. He didn't stop her. Chapter 6:15. Xie Shijun glanced at Chen Ying, who did not look back, and turned to go home. When he got home, he saw Shu Qiulan playing with his grandchildren. His face softened. Shu Qiulan saw Xie Shijun coming back and asked with a smile, "Where is Yingzi? Why didn't she come back with you?" When she mentioned Chen Ying, Xie Shijun's face darkened. Shu Qiulan knew something had happened. Her son usually had a good temper. Could it be that the two of them quarreled? What's wrong? Shu Qiulan wanted to persuade her son to be more tolerant of Chen Ying. Her husband died early, and she raised 3 children. She knew how difficult it was for a woman. But after hearing the scene in the private room from Xie Shijun, Shu Qiulan could not persuade her son. What's wrong with Yingzi? Shu Qiulan murmured in her heart. I didn't hear about any conflict between her and Tang Guo. When I mentioned Chairman Song before, Yingzi would say something not very good. Xie Shijun drove the 2 children out to play and pulled Shu Qiulan into the house. Mom, do you think something happened between Yingzi and Chairman Song? Have you heard anything about it when you were in the village? Bah, don't talk nonsense. With Chairman Song's character, it's impossible for him to have anything to do with Yingzi. Shu Qiulan suddenly remembered something. There was a rumor before about Chen Fangfang, Yingzi's younger sister. Do you know her? Xie Shijun nodded. There was another thing about him. At that time, the Chen family was disgraced. Chen Fangfang mentioned more than once that Yingzi had secretly given eggs to Chairman Song, but it seemed that Chairman Song had rejected her. Shu Qiulan's face darkened when she thought of this. Could it be true? If that was the case, it was normal for Chen Ying to dislike Yi Song. A man who couldn't get her even if she tried to curry favor with him has such achievements and a good relationship with Tang Guo. Chen Ying felt indignant and treated Yi Song badly. It's understandable for her to treat him badly. The mother and son fell into silence. Xie Shijun said, "Forget it, Mom. Don't mention it." Sigh. Shu Qiulan also understood that this matter could not be mentioned, especially in front of Chen Ying. If it was mentioned, it would cause a conflict. For the sake of family harmony, no matter how uncomfortable she felt, she couldn't bring it up. Xie Shijun entered his room and saw that Chen Ying was not back yet. He recalled Shu Qiulan's words and felt upset. From the looks of it, Chen Ying must have liked Yi Song before, but Yi Song did not reciprocate her feelings. No wonder Yingzi had never looked at him with the love he had imagined. And after she changed jobs, she was so cold to him. Back then, when she was in a hurry to marry him, could it be that she wanted Yi Song to understand that she could actually marry a better man? Now that she saw Yi Song's achievements, she felt that it was unfair. When she heard that Yi Song helped her with her work, how could the arrogant Yingzi accept it? When others talked about Tang Guo and Yi Song, her first reaction was to wonder if the two of them had fallen out. Yi Song and Tang Guo were not living well. Xie Shijun did not want to think about his wife with malicious thoughts, but this woman had been by his side for so long, he could still understand a little. Through Shu Qiulan's words, he already had a rough idea of what had happened. All in all, he felt uncomfortable. Chapter 616. Xie Shijun has already gone to the city. Tang Guo really did not expect Xie Shijun to be so fast. He even brought Chen Ying with him. Logically speaking, Xie Shijun should have adapted to the city for a while before bringing Chen Ying over. Yes, he bought a house in the city and brought Chen Ying over. Shu Qiulan will take care of the two children. Chen Ying also agreed. She seems to be very eager to go to the city. Yi Song did not hide anything and immediately told her his thoughts. Guo, I always feel that Chen Ying is very strange. What's strange? Tang Guo asked with a smile. She always knew that Yi Song was very confused about Chen Ying. Yi Song thought for a while and said, at that time, she did try to please me, but Guo, I promise you that I really have no feelings for her. I did not accept anything from her, not even a glass of water. Okay, don't explain. I know that Mai Yi is not that kind of person. Hearing the words Mai Yi successfully made Yi Song laugh. He hugged his wife and rubbed her forehead. He continued, for the first 2 months, she was very attentive. Suddenly, one day, I realized that she had changed. That's why I felt that she was very strange. That day, the way she looked at me was really as if she wanted to eat me up. She looked so hateful. If she was not carrying a knife, I would have thought that she would come over and slash me. Hearing Yi Song's description, Tang Guo could imagine that scene. And then, I did not have any contact with her. But I always felt that the way she looked at me was hiding hatred. I remember that I really did not do anything to her. Yi Song said, after I got married to you, I saw her less often. But occasionally, I would still notice that she looked at us coldly with a hint of schadenfreude. He always felt that there was something wrong with this woman. It's good that she went to the city. What Yi Song did not say was that he occasionally noticed that the way Chen Ying looked at his Guo was not very kind. He did not know if it was his illusion, but he always felt that some things were too coincidental. Thinking of this, he asked, Guo, do you still remember why you went to the river? Tang Guo raised her eyebrows. This man even suspected her. Of course, she would be very cooperative. She would not help Chen Ying to hide what she did. I think I'm right. Chen Ying asked me out the day before and said that he had something to tell me. I came out at the appointed time and happened to see you fall into the water. There was no need to say much about what happened next. Of course, he had to save her first. Yi Song pursed his lips. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was not a simple matter. But it had been so long, even if he suspected something, he couldn't find any evidence. Unless there were other witnesses at that time. He walked that road every day and had never seen a place near the river that would collapse. It just so happened that it collapsed that day. No matter how he explained it, it just didn't make sense. At that time, he didn't know what to do, so he didn't check on it afterwards. Now that he thought about it, there were a lot of suspicious points. After being saved by Guo, many people suddenly came, as if they had made an appointment. He vaguely remembered a voice that seemed to be saying that it was improper for a man and a woman to hug each other in broad daylight. They had ruined the reputation of the Belle of Tang village, and no matter who it was, they had to take responsibility. Yi Song's face sank when he heard the voice. It was Chen Ying. Are ye? Yi Song hugged Tang Guo. It's nothing. I have something to do and have to go out. What does Guo want to eat tonight? I'll come back and cook. Everything you cook is delicious, Tang Guo said contentedly. No matter what this man cooked, it was delicious. Song Yi had something to do, so he just nodded and left in a hurry. Chapter 617. Host, did Yi Song investigate what happened that year? Tang Guo leaned lazily on the sofa and replied, I think so. But it had been so many years. Could he still find out? The system did not say that if he couldn't find out, the host would really let this matter go and not cause trouble for Chen Ying. Some truths don't need evidence. Tang Guo said calmly. With Chen Ying's unstable personality now, she might find out the truth if she was just slightly tricked. As for how Yi Song was going to find out the truth, she didn't know. She was now quite concerned about whether Chen Ying would still have the mood to live a good life after knowing about the changes in Tang County and how Yi Song was much better than he was in her previous life. As for Xie Shijun, he seemed to be a very smart person. He was completely different from those who had been in the army. He was very straightforward. That day in the private room, Xie Shijun must have found out something. Otherwise, he wouldn't have bought a house in the city so quickly and brought Chen Ying over. After that, Xie Shijun even came over to apologize. The way he looked at her Yi was also a little different. It was obvious that he knew something. After Yi Song went out that day, he only came back at night. Looking at his expression, he seemed to know something. Lying on the bed, he hugged Tang Guo tightly. The look in his eyes seemed to be rejoicing. Although I don't know when Chen Ying started to hate me, I'm still very glad that she hates me. Yi Song whispered in Tang Guo's ear. If Chen Ying still didn't give up and didn't hate him, the person who jumped down to save him that day wasn't Tang Guo, but Chen Ying herself. According to Chen Ying's plan, he really had no choice but to marry Chen Ying. He would never like a woman like Chen Ying. Even if he forced himself to marry her, he wouldn't be able to become a real husband and wife with her. Tang Guo understood that Yi Song must have found out the truth. What did you find out? Yi Song hugged the soft person and sighed. I didn't have much hope at first. The person I went to look for was a bystander. I didn't expect that when I was talking to the bystander, Chen Ying's brother, Chen Shubao, saw us. He happened to overhear me asking about this. After hesitating for a while, he told me some things that we didn't know. Tang Guo was curious. Chen Shubao was 24 years old this year. His grades in school were not good, so he did not pass the college entrance examination. Perhaps because of the development of Tang County, he also felt that he did not need to study too much. In a place like Tang County, no matter how lazy the Chen family was, they would still be doing better than in other places. One thing about this Chen Shubao was that he was very obedient to Yi Song and worshipped Yi Song. He was not like the other members of the Chen family who liked to play tricks. Although he wasn't very capable, he was still okay in other aspects. His mouth was especially good at talking, and he could be considered popular. He was considered to be doing well in the Chen family. He said that the night before I fell into the water, he woke up and saw Chen Ying going out. He was young and curious, so he followed her secretly. Yi Song's face darkened. He saw Chen Ying digging something on the road by the river. In the end, she used the grass on the road to cover it up. Because the place where he lived was the house of a lonely old man, he was the first person to pass by there every day. Chen Ying's calculation was very accurate. He did pass by there and fell into the river. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.